Do you remember the regular show movie? I mean, it has been 10 years since it came out, and 10 years ago, I was a wee little lad, but I remember every single thing about the premiere for this movie. I remember the countdown timer at the bottom of my screen displaying the time until the movie was going to come out. I remember the hype for the movie trailer, which was really ominous and really serious for regular show. I even remember people standing outside of the big screen premiere for the movie, all in their regular show cosplays that Cartoon Network was just showing to no end, all of these awesome cosplays that were honestly super cool. I remember all of that good stuff. But did the regular show movie actually live up to the hype? Was it a good feature film that deserved to be called the regular show movie? Or did other regular show specials deserve a full-length feature film like Exit 9B, Brilliant Century Duck Crisis Special, even the Christmas Special, even the Excellent Challenge? Did all of these amazing, nostalgic masterpiece episodes deserve to be a full-length feature film? Or did the regular show movie deliver on all fronts and give us a regular show experience that we would never forget? That's why today I'm going to be diving deep into the regular show movie, discussing everything that I liked, everything I didn't like. Was the plot good? Were the characters used well? Was the villain good? Looking at every single aspect of the regular show movie and deciding if it was actually good. And I am almost at 10,000 subscribers, and I appreciate every single one of you, so make sure you lift that arm up and press the subscribe button if you are not subscribed already. I got lots of good stuff on the way, all of my regular show rankings obviously. I'm going to be doing some more stuff with Adventure Time, specifically Marceline, so you gotta get excited for that. And then we also have BoJack rankings coming up, and I'm going to be ranking SpongeBob rankings, and I just got so much good stuff on the way, and you don't want to miss it. So yeah, just be subscribed, and without further ado, let's check out the regular show movie. Now, I will say that this movie came out at a very weird time for the series. It was in season 7, after season 6, where the majority of that season was Mordecai, Margaret, and CJ. You know how I feel about that stuff, but either way, that was a blemish on the series. And then season 7, although I love season 7, all of the stuff with the character growth, all of that stuff, the series was in decline and losing a lot of people watching it, but it didn't take away from how many people were excited for this movie. And I think this movie had one of the best openings out of any Cartoon Network movie, and just a lot of movies in general. It was so awesome, so hype, and I loved it so much. Now, the thing that I like about the opening of this film is that it does what the movie needed to do right away, and that was to give us something brand new, really fresh, something we had never seen before in the entire series, in order to establish that this is different from regular show. It needed to be something big, it needed to be something huge, and that's exactly what it was. We open in a dystopian future staring into space, a title card that says the future blares onto the screen, and we just get spaceships flying in towards a Timenado. Yeah, already a super awesome opening. They're flying in, and this is when we get to see old versions of all of our park guys. Rigby's super old, and he honestly looks like a badass. Old versions of Benson, Skips, Pops, and they're all going towards this Timenado, flying in for this epic battle with lasers shooting everywhere, and they get in the Timenado, and it's just bullet hell. Just lasers shooting everywhere. High Five Ghost is in a literal mech. Just fighting their way towards the time core. And that was just such an amazing way to open this movie, because it gives us what we need. It gives us a lot of questions. It gives us stuff that we had never seen before in the series, and it just keeps going with that. In the first 3 minutes of this movie, we get so many questions. They eventually get all the way to the time core. Skips is holding up this giant laser gun to the time core, about to destroy it, and that's when Muscle Man cracks a joke and then literally dies.
Now to let her guard down for just 1 second.
He gets shot, Skips gets shot, Pops gets shot, High Five Ghost gets shot. It's down to just Benson and Rigby. And this entire time, you're probably not even wondering where Mordecai is, because all of this stuff is happening so fast. And that's when the reveal happens, that Mordecai is the one in charge of this army, leading this charge, ordering them to shoot all of their friends. Mordecai is a villain in this movie.
Ceasefire!
And that is a crazy revelation. We have never seen this before, and that's what we need from the regular show movie, stuff that we had never seen before. And Mordecai being a villain and Rigby being a good guy, yeah, that's a little bit different. And it just has this extremely serious tone to it. There's only one joke in the entire beginning of this movie, and that's what I like so much about it, because this movie had to be a little bit serious. I like that they throw in a little bit of comedy here and there, but this is a very serious plotline with a lot of actual emotional depth to it, a lot of crazy things going on. The universe could end, so it needed to be a little bit more impactful. It needed to be a little bit more serious, and that's what I like about it. And then they just keep on bringing us question after question after question, because that's when the main villain of the movie shows up, Mr. Ross.
You might want to listen to your little friend here while you're still alive.
And he just drops all these bombshells, like how Mordecai and Rigby destroy the science lab, how they costed him everything, how he went to prison, how Mordecai and Rigby just aren't friends anymore. Mordecai lost his arm to Rigby. Rigby did something so horrible in the past that it drove Mordecai to become a villain and ruin their entire friendship.
I know what you did, Rigby, and I'll never forgive you. Dude, I didn't get in.
Such a crazy concept and such an amazing way to open this movie, because 3 minutes into it and I have like 50 questions about what's going on, why did all this happen, and I'm just hooked. And that's exactly what I wanted from this movie. I wanted it to hook me from the beginning, to get me excited for what's to come, and this opening just keeps on getting better because Rigby runs away after Benson sacrifices himself so that Rigby can go into the past and fix all of this.
Muscle man! And five! Stupid!
Fix everything, fix all of his mistakes, and while he's trying to get to the past, evil Mordecai is hot on his trail, and we get this awesome stare down, and they shoot each other after just this really deep and sad conversation about how they used to be friends and they're just not anymore, and Mordecai was thinking of his career. Yeah, it's so weird, it's so out of place. They shoot each other, Rigby goes back into the past, and Mordecai goes back to heal up.
Hey, Mordecai! Go ahead!
Crazy introduction. And then this super serious opening to the movie is just followed up by another opening with Mordecai and Rigby from the present just doing their normal silly shenanigans. They're at the coffee shop getting some breakfast burritos and they realize that they're going to be late for the morning meeting, and we just get this sequence of them running out to the cart. It's not gassed up and they have to run all the way back to the park, and this just awesome sequence, and it's just so great. Feels like classic regular show, feels like just something that could happen in a normal episode, because Rigby's able to perform a little bit of a switcheroo, writing Benson's name on the bag. He gives him the breakfast burrito, and that's that.
Yeah, we got a good excuse.
Oh, really? What's that?
We bought you breakfast burritos.
What?
It's a great introduction sequence that balances out the crazy thing that we just saw with just some grounded regular show shenanigans. Now, the opening sequence for this movie, I won't lie, is extremely hype. It gets you excited for all the little seeds that they planted for every single plotline that we're going to explore. The only thing that I don't really like about the opening is kind of how they're just force feeding us stuff just so quickly, and for a regular show movie, that's just not what I want. I mean, in the span of 40 seconds, we learn that Mordecai is evil, Mr. Ross is the villain, they destroyed the science lab, Mordecai and Rigby haven't been friends for 25 years. They've been fighting on the opposite sides for so long, and Rigby did something so horrible in the past that it just can never be rectified, and it was so horrible that it made Mordecai turn evil. All of that is just spoon-fed to us in literal seconds. It's all so fast, and for a regular show movie, I feel like there shouldn't really be a time constraint, and I would rather watch those things unfold than for me to be told them all in the span of 40 seconds. And yes, we get to see why, we get to see how later in the film, but I would much rather just watch it unfold later on in the film, instead of in the first 3 minutes I learn, okay, all of this is going to be happening, and I'm just waiting for it. It didn't take away from the opening sequence, especially as a kid. This was still awesome, this was still hype, this was still super exciting. I had so many questions that I need to be answered, but just some of those questions they could have just kept away, I felt like, especially with like the rejection letter. I feel like they could have just kept that like tucked away, but the entire movie is just pointing to this rejection letter the whole entire time, and it just automatically paints Rigby in just such a negative light just right away. So the entire time, the whole movie, instead of just enjoying all of your characters going on this awesome mission initially, the entire time you're just staring at Rigby just like, what did you do that was so horrible? And I feel like that's why a lot of people didn't like this movie, because it's just a hate Rigby movie. But either way, I feel like they could have just unfolded that later on, showed us later more, and just built up to it more slowly than just immediately telling us within the first 3 minutes every single aspect and every single plotline of this film that was going to be explored. I just felt like they could have done it a little bit slower, especially because there wasn't a time constraint and they could have went so much longer with the film, but they chose to make it shorter, and that just makes some things feel a little bit rushed to me. They do a honestly pretty good job of keeping the ball rolling after the opening though. It just goes to Mordecai and Rigby sitting on the steps just chipping away at some paint chips because they got to repaint the stairs. It's just some good stuff. They're just talking, but it's very serious compared to everything else in regular show. The movie has just such a completely different tone compared to everything else. I mean, Mordecai is just immediately talking about how, I mean, we can't stay at the park forever.
Yeah, right. You wouldn't leave the park.
I don't know, dude. I'm just saying.
We got to think about doing something else eventually. You got to stop lying, Rigby. And this movie is just heavy with the foreshadowing, heavy with it. And that's one of the aspects that I dislike. I understand the foreshadowing. I understand that you need the kids and the adults, whoever is watching, to understand that Rigby did something bad. But when every single sentence and every single just driving plot force is the fact that Rigby did something bad, and they just never shy away from it with so much foreshadowing about what Rigby did, the entire movie is just focused on hating Rigby for whatever he's going to be revealed to do. But either way, they keep on going, they're having this conversation, and that's when future Rigby is coming into the past, driving in, just flying from the sky. They think it's a meteor, so they're all running away. And that's when he crash lands, and they eventually go up to him and they see future Rigby. And this is actually a very cool scene where he's just talking to everybody from the past.
I've traveled back from the future to seek your help.
But how can you be Rigby? You look so awesome!
Just explaining what happened, pointing to Mordecai and saying that Mordecai was the one who shot him. Everybody's just shocked faces. How could they not be friends anymore? It doesn't make any sense. And there we go. We get some more foreshadowing.
You have to tell the truth, even if it means losing Mordecai.
I understand it's very important for the plot. Future Rigby tells past Rigby to tell the truth. Just tell the truth to make sure none of this happens. Fix this. Do all of that. And then future Rigby just dies right there. Everybody immediately knows what they have to do now. They all have to go into the past and change everything so that they could save the present, the future, and the past, all of the timelines, and defeat Mr. Ross. Now, I will admit the majority of the stuff is pretty serious, but the movie does do a good job of balancing that classic, like, regular show, lighthearted comedy with all of the serious stuff. We get a lot of good stuff, like especially the stuff in the beginning that I mentioned with the breakfast burritos and the chase back to the park to make it on time. And then we get this stuff where they find a space gun on the ship and Muscle Man just blows up Benson's car.
Oh, wait.
I just paid it off.
That was pretty funny. We get a good montage where they're all preparing to go back into the past, and Muscle Man accidentally leaves his bag on top of the ship, and he leaves all of it, and all of his stash falls off.
Oh no, bro.
Just lots of good lighthearted comedy, so it's not like it's void of that. I mention how serious it is all the time, but it's not like it's void of comedy and lighthearted regular show. It still feels like regular show, it just feels like much more serious regular show, and that's not a bad thing. It's just very heavy in the film. Then we get the actual mission part of the story where they all go back into the past to save the timeline, and this is a very interesting part of the film because we get to learn all of this stuff about how past Mordecai and Rigby destroyed the science lab when they were trying to use a time machine, and this got Mr. Ross arrested. This created the Timenado. This had a bunch of detrimental effects that lead to all of the things that are happening in this movie. So they have to go back into the past and stop past Mordecai and Rigby from doing this in the first place. And all of this stuff of them doing this is actually really entertaining. We get some great scenes with future Mordecai and Rigby, our Mordecai and Rigby, meeting with their past selves, and they just give themselves such a super awesome just introduction.
A couple of years to master it.
But this game's brand new. Not when you're from the future. Whoa, what?
Which is just so Mordecai and Rigby. I just love it so much. And then they help them to create the science fair project so that they won't want to do anything crazy, so that they keep them away, and so that Mordecai and Rigby can get into the science lab and destroy the time machine. Meanwhile, Benson and Pops are dealing with some horrible things with some volleyball jocks, literally getting used as volleyballs.
No, don't set him up!
Yeah, it's not too great for them. And then we also get another B-plot with Muscle Man and Skips, and Muscle Man tries to use the bathroom on the spaceship, but it sucks all of his clothes away, so Muscle Man is just butt-ass naked now.
Forget this. I'm going in the bushes.
And his past self comes and sees Rigby's spaceship, and he's all like, crash pit. So we have Muscle Man versus past Muscle Man, and I love their fight so much. I think it's just so funny. It's so hilarious.
And because I know something that you don't. What's that? Always guard your pepperonis.
and they have to stop them from crashing the ship into the crash pit. That was a great part of the movie. It was very lighthearted. It was a lot of good fun, especially with all this serious stuff going on. But everybody thinks that they were able to destroy the time machine because Mordecai and Rigby got into the science lab, smashed it with some books. Benson and Pop show up after they're done with their beatings and also smash the time machine up a little bit. They come back, we get this awesome scene with some champagne, some sports drink that Benson doesn't like very much.
Whoa! What are you doing?
They're just celebrating, they're having a good time because they saved the timeline. They saved everything. Yippee, hooray, they did it. Except Rigby sees a portal form in the background, and it's a red portal, which means something is still wrong. Something is wrong with the timeline, and they didn't fix anything. And Mr. Ross from the future replaced the time machine that they destroyed with one that was still being created to ensure that past Mordecai and Rigby would still go on to create the Timenado. But why would they do this? Why would they go to this lengths? Why would they still do that if they already finished the science fair project? Well, we get to the main meat of the movie. The main horrible thing that Rigby did. The entire movie is pointing to this point, and the entire movie is basically all about this one moment. We get to learn about it all. Past Rigby goes home. He's super excited to get his College U letter, and he reads it, and it turns out he didn't get into College U.
I didn't get in? But everybody gets in.
So, past Rigby goes to Mordecai's house, past Mordecai's house. He goes there, he finds his letter, steals it, rips it open, and types up his own version of the letter, which turns out to be a rejection letter. He rejects Mordecai from a college that he got into because Rigby didn't get in.
Sorry, Mordecai.
Mordecai from the past rides his bike home and he sees Rigby already there, letter in hand. He already read his. Rigby says that he got in to College U. And Mordecai's like, whoa, let me see my acceptance letter. And he goes to read it and tears well up in his eyes because he didn't get in to the college of his dreams, all because of Rigby.
Dude, I didn't get in. What the? Dude, they let you in but not me? That doesn't make any sense.
And he sees no other thing to do but to go to Mr. Ross's science lab, use the time machine that he was already creating, and change the past so that they could both get into College U. Yeah, it's really messed up. Rigby definitely messed up super bad, but either way, they go to the science lab, they're working on it, Rigby gets to the school, everybody gets to the school, because they know that something is still wrong, and Rigby still won't admit it, and that's when evil Mordecai shows up to stop them from getting in the science lab, and that's when we get this entire moment where Rigby just reads out the entire letter that he got from College University about him not getting in, because Mr. Ross is going to kill people if he doesn't.
Read the letter.
Do it, Rigby.
And yeah, it's honestly a heartbreaking letter, and it makes me feel so bad for Rigby's just intelligence, for his dreams, for everything. It doesn't change the fact of what Rigby did, but I feel so bad for him here. Just hearing about how college university is for everyone, but not everyone is meant to go to college. It's just so sad to watch his dreams get crushed by this letter. It doesn't excuse what he did to Mordecai at all, but still, it's just such a sad scene where he's just reading this letter and everyone is there just cringing, just emotional.
Though our school motto is the college for everyone, sometimes college isn't for everyone.
And Mordecai is just fuming because his entire life was ruined because of Rigby. He's stuck in this dead-end job because of Rigby. It's all Rigby's fault.
You don't do that to your best friend. You're the reason I'm stuck in this dead-end job.
And that's when Mr. Ross is all like, well, time to kill you, Mordecai, and goes to spike it to get revenge on Rigby. And that's when future Mordecai jumps in front of past Mordecai because he just decides to switch up sides just right then and there because it's crazy. Yeah, that was a very interesting scene, and future Mordecai dies in Mordecai's arms. Yeah, I say a lot of Mordecai and Rigby's here. There's so many past and future and past. It's just so weird. But either way, very emotional scene, very sad. I felt so bad for Mordecai in all of these moments. Rigby runs away crying because Mordecai says he doesn't want to be friends anymore because he's done with him. He can't believe that he would do that. So Rigby takes the van and takes the ship and runs away and is trying to fly into the sun while everybody else gets ready for the ultimate final battle against Ross. because past Mordecai and Rigby succeed in creating the Timenado, getting Mr. Ross in the past arrested, and all of that great stuff. Yeah. Rigby learns from Father Time that he needs to apologize for Mordecai, even though it takes so much effort to get him to that point. He has to explain the word sorry to Rigby, and Rigby's all like, oh, I gotta go say sorry to Mordecai. And Mordecai and everybody else, all of the park rangers, are flying towards the Timenado for the final battle. This flying sequence is honestly so awesome. We even get Tecmo in it. Just lasers blasting, Tecmo getting outside of the ship, destroying ships on their way in. It's so good. Mordecai is the first one to get there. He flies in. Rigby eventually follows close to him. He eventually catches up to Mordecai, and that's when Mordecai is just having a stare down with Mr. Ross, gun pointed right at him.
I just need to.
Now's not the best time.
And we just get one of the best fights in all of regular show, honestly. Mr. Ross versus Mordecai and Rigby, the final battle of this movie. And it's so cool because Mr. Ross has this time caller thing that is able to rewind time if he ever loses a fight. If he dies, it rewinds time 10 seconds to the point where he's alive. He's able to teleport. He's able to create portals where he could appear anywhere in time. Yeah, it's...
Show yourself!
They think that they defeated Ross because they push him all the way down off of this platform. He falls all the way down, but he's just unconscious for a little bit.
Mordecai, now!
He comes back, he's just dominating them left and right, but they're able to succeed. They're able to defeat Ross fully with the help of a sword. They chop off his head. Ross is gone.
Ha! You missed.
Did I?
Yeah, you did. What?
Ross is dead. They throw the plutonium into the time core and destroy it permanently for good. The Timenado is saved. Rigby apologizes to Mordecai, and it's honestly a very sweet apology. I don't know if he deserves forgiveness for this, but it's very good, very awesome.
Take working a lame job at a park with my best friend any day.
The movie ends with the timelines being saved. The timeline is saved, and Rigby from the past apologizes to Mr. Ross for all of his wrongdoings, and Mr. Ross is just like, oh, well, that's okay. I forgive you. I feel like we could be best buds now. And none of this ever happens. The Timenado's not created. None of the bad things happen, and that's pretty much the end of the entire movie. That's basically the entire movie. Obviously, it's not frame by frame, but that's all the key moments that you really need to know. Now, I just want to talk about some of the major things about this movie that I really liked and really didn't like, and I'm going to start that off with Rigby's rejection letter. And I know I talked a lot about how this movie is kind of just a hey Rigby movie, all this foreshadowing about Rigby did this, Rigby did that. I didn't like how they made the entire plotline all about Rigby and what he did wrong. I feel like they should have built up to it more in a better way where it's not just constant foreshadowing throughout the entire thing until it eventually happens. But overall, it is a storyline and it is an aspect of the story. I thought it was really good. I just didn't really like the foreshadowing. The entire thing about the rejection letter I actually found to be really impactful because Rigby is one of those characters that just does so much wrong throughout the entire series. He just puts everybody's lives in jeopardy all the time. He's the cause of a lot of chaos. But at this point in the series, his character had grown, his character had evolved, and we would start to like Rigby a lot more. So I'm glad that they decided to do something that focuses more on his anxiety and fears of abandonment instead of just, oh, Rigby messed up because he's just dumb. Like, he messed up for genuine reasons here. And yes, forging a rejection letter for Mordecai's college screwed over Mordecai in horrible ways, messed up his entire life. Mordecai deserved to call him a drill bit here, but he did it for valid reasons. Rigby has a horrible life. His dad hates him. His mom was the only person that he really liked. He was always living in the shadow of his brother Don. He didn't really have any other friends other than Mordecai. He was a loser in high school. He was a high school dropout. What did Rigby have going in his life except for Mordecai? And he had this big plan, this one plan in life, this one goal in life, that was to graduate high school and go to college U with Mordecai. And when that all crumbles in his face, when he doesn't get in and Mordecai gets in, he just relies on his fears of abandonment, his anxiety, and he just acts on those feelings alone. It's obvious that he didn't want to ruin Mordecai's life. He didn't want to keep him grounded. He just didn't know what to do. He didn't want to lose his friend. And that's why, yes, I hate Rigby in this moment. Rigby sucks in this movie for this moment. And it is so bad. It's such a horrible thing to do. But I understand why he did it. And I'm glad that they chose that approach instead of him just like messing up for doing something dumb. Like, I don't know, he slips on a banana peel and that shreds Mordecai's acceptance letter or something. But no, they chose something meaningful, something that they could actually use to show Rigby in a light that is horrible, but not make it without reason and without meaning. That's why I like it a little bit more, and that's why I understand the rejection letter premise. It's a great thing for this movie. It's a great aspect to have for this movie. The only thing that I would change about it is just the build up to it. Maybe let us slowly find out about it instead of every other sentence being, oh, but Rigby, you did something so horrible and we gotta find out about it. We gotta find out about it right now. It's just the first 40 minutes of the movie are all about Rigby did this, Rigby did that, and then it's revealed and it's like, whoa, that is really bad. That's honestly so horrible. But like when you're just constantly telling me about it and constantly foreshadowing it, it makes the entire movie just like paint Rigby in just such a negative light without actually focusing on like why he's doing this, why he's going through all of that. And that's honestly why I wish that they focused on the why instead of the what for Rigby. Why did Rigby do this instead of what did Rigby do? Because if we got more attention on the why, maybe it would have painted Rigby in a better light that makes him more enjoyable in this movie. And that is just followed up by just a horrible scene where Rigby literally just wants to kill himself. I get that he's sad, but he wants to kill himself, and then you're going to do that horrible thing where it's not even that funny of a joke that he doesn't understand the concept of apologizing. Yeah, I hate that joke in like any concept of any show. You should obviously know what the word sorry is. You shouldn't have to be told that, especially at this point in the series, and that's just why it just kind of bothers me. I just feel like they could have led up to the rejection letter in much better ways, but overall it's a very important aspect of the story, and I wouldn't want to get rid of the rejection letter. I would just want to change how they get to it a little bit. Now, the next major aspect that I want to talk about in this film is Mr. Ross, the big bad villain of this movie, and a lot of people don't like Mr. Ross. They think his motive doesn't make any sense and they just think he's a bad villain, but I love Mr. Ross. Yes, his motive is kind of stupid, but I think he's funny and unhinged and kind of just a psychopath, and it works so well for regular show. I didn't really talk about it in the plot because I was saving it for this part of the video where I just talk about him as a villain, but the entire reason that he's doing all of this, the reason his revenge plot has started in the first place, is because Rigby ruins his state championship volleyball game match by playing a saxophone, which
Thank you!
is just so hilarious in the context of regular show. What kind of villain would you want in regular show more than a guy who wants to destroy the entire universe over a volleyball game? And even so, I don't think that was his entire plan initially. I think he was going to go back in time to win the state championship and get revenge on Rigby, but maybe he would just like punch past Rigby in the face when he was a baby or something and make him have a cleft lip. Ha, cleft lip joke. Look, I'm deformed too. We could be cleft lip buddies, Rigby. Do it, Mr. Ross. But either way, I don't think he had intentions of killing Rigby and wiping out the timeline initially. I don't think that that was his plan. I think he was just going to go back into the past, mess with Rigby a little bit, and that would be that. He would win the state championship. It would all be good. The thing that made Mr. Ross turn actually crazy and wanting to destroy the timeline and maybe just knocked a couple of screws loose inside of his head was when Mordecai and Rigby went into the science lab, destroyed his time machine so he couldn't get the one thing that he actually wanted. Who knows, maybe volleyball is the entire aspect of his entire life and he loved it so much, and they ruined that aspect, and they also got him arrested for something that he didn't even do.
Okay, I can explain. Ow!
You're going to jail, Ross!
Everything was fine. He showed Mordecai and Rigby the time machine because he didn't think anything of it. He didn't think anything would come of it, and then all of a sudden, his science lab is blown up, he loses his job, and he goes to prison for I don't even know how long, a very long time. And then when he gets out, the only thing on his brain is going to be revenge against Rigby, the guy who ruined his volleyball state championship and the guy who got him arrested. I don't know why he goes on to destroy everything and everyone in the entire timeline just to mess with Rigby and kill Rigby. I don't get it. Maybe he wants Rigby to not exist anywhere ever. Kind of odd, kind of weird. That's the one aspect of his character that is kind of flawed. I don't know why he's destroying all of time just because he's super mad at Rigby. But either way, I get why he's crazy. I get why he's psychotic, and I think he's honestly just a badass. He has so many cool fight scenes in the entire show. His intro is just awesome, just appearing out of a portal, and then we get that awesome fight between him, Mordecai, and Rigby at the end. Just an incredible action sequence and the perfect way to end this movie. I loved his collar that could rewind time, and just how everyone, when they initially see this for the first time, is just horrified.
Yes!
Even future Mordecai is just like, whoa, dude, that is not normal. That is scary, and it is honestly such a cool power. It's so cool. It leads to such an amazing fight. I love all of his mannerisms. I love all of his jokes, and I love the guy that voices Mr. Ross, Jason Mantzoukas. I don't know how to actually pronounce his last name. If I said it wrong, come at me. I don't care. Make fun of me. But either way, he is such a good voice actor, and maybe it's just because of recency bias, because he is Rex Splode in Invincible, and he voices so many other good characters that I like Mr. Ross even more. I don't know. I just love that voice. I love the pitch of it. It just is so good for an evil villain character in a regular show episode. And I just think Ross is a good villain to have for this movie. He's definitely not the best villain in the entire show. I think that role goes to Garrett Bobby Ferguson. But either way, Mr. Ross serves his purpose. He does it well. And he even gets a horrible ending where they chop his head off and his reset collar is just infinitely going forever. So he just keeps resetting with his head chopped off. Crazy ending, and then we eventually get his good ending where Rigby just apologizes to him at the end when they blow up the science lab, and it turns out that's all he needed.
That's all I've been waiting to hear. Oh, man. I feel so much better now.
He just needed an apology to feel better, to feel like just not this worthless, horrible person, and he doesn't go on a revenge plot because he just needed an apology, and yeah, so he wasn't even that bad of a dude. He just wanted a little piece of some sorry. So once Rigby learns to say sorry, everything's cool, and I think Ross is a solid villain. The next aspect of this movie that I want to talk about is the use of side characters, and don't get me wrong, I love Benson's car getting destroyed. I love Muscle Man versus Muscle Man over the ship. I love Benson and Pops going to high school and getting beat up by jocks. It's all comedic and it's all great. I just wish they got to do more in the main overarching plot, because all the stuff that they're doing just kind of feels like B plots. If they didn't do any of this in the movie, nothing would change. They could take it all out and nothing would change. I don't want them to take it out because I love it. I think it's great. I think it's comedic. I'm glad that they got time to shine. I wish all these parts were in the movie, but then like in scenes like the final battle, what if Mr. Ross was fighting everybody all at the same time, and Mr. Ross, because he's OP, he's able to take out Benson, he's able to take out Muscle Man, he's able to take out Pops, he's able to take them all out with some super cool moves, and it gets all the way down to Mordecai and Rigby. But everybody gets their time to shine. Everybody's there, everybody's a part of the fight, and they all just get taken out, and then we get the same ending scene with Mordecai and Rigby defeating Ross. It could have worked out that way, but then everybody would play an important role in the ending of the movie instead of being relegated to the background. And I understand everybody's there, everybody's reacting, everybody's doing something. I just wish they were there more, because regular show wouldn't be regular show without a Benson, without a Pops, without a Muscle Man, without a Skipson, without a High Five Ghost. All of those characters mean so much to me and mean so much to the show as a whole that I wish that they weren't just regulated to B story plots. I wish they were a part of the A plot in a major way instead of just being reactionary characters that are there to crack jokes or just be like, oh, that's so bad. Like, I just wish they were featured more. And then you have Margaret and CJ, who played such major roles in the series. Even if I don't like them very much, they should have gotten more than just a cameo in this movie. CJ's not even in it. She could have at least had a reaction piece. Like, Margaret comes as a kid and she just gets a cameo for 1 second. Like, I understand, like, yeah, you use those characters way too much in the past, but at least put them in the movie because they're such a huge part of regular show. This movie should feature every single aspect of the show in every single way and showcase it and show just like the history of the show in a brand new way and make it look so awesome. And then you have Eileen, the best female character in the entire show, who is regulated to the first like 3 minutes of the film, and she's only there for like 30 seconds with Mordecai and Rigby singing a song about coffee to her.
Fill 'em up, can't start the day without a cup.
You know, you could just ask for a refill like normal people.
Yeah, that's all she gets in the entire movie, and that just kind of sucks. I just wish that they used the side characters a little bit more, a little bit better for some more major roles. Maybe throw an Eileen in there just because, yeah, I love the side characters in the show. They're just so good, and we just needed a little bit more of them in this movie. But overall, I mean, it's still fine. Didn't take away from the movie. It's still very solid. I just wish we had more. I honestly just wish that this movie was a little bit longer. So did this movie live up to the hype? Did it deserve to be called a regular show movie? And by the way, missed opportunity not calling it a regular movie. I don't know how they didn't brainstorm it. It should have made perfect sense to call it that. It would have been so great. But either way, was it a jolly good show? I'd honestly give it a 7 out of 10. It's a very solid piece of regular show. The action, the comedy, the mixing of the goofy and serious tone, the villain, the ending, it all makes for a very solid piece of regular show and something that I could rewatch and enjoy multiple times throughout my life. But overall, I just feel like there were some other plots that would have worked better. Imagine Exit 9B as the regular show movie, an hour and a half long with a 20-minute fight scene at the end against all the villains. That would have been super cool. I know it doesn't work because Exit 9B came out way before this. And imagine Brilliant Century Duck Crisis Special as a movie. That would have also been super awesome. But that's just some wishful thinking. And overall, I'm just grateful that we got a regular show movie in the first place. It's something that not every show gets to have the honor of getting. And it was hyped up so much. It was treated like such a big deal. And I think they honestly delivered us something truly special. A great movie, not without its flaws, but something that I could enjoy and appreciate for what it is. And I am glad that we got the regular show movie. So did it live up to the hype? I'd say yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to like and subscribe. I have lots of great stuff coming on the way. More regular show content, obviously. Adventure Time, Gumball, BoJack, SpongeBob, some movie stuff I'm working on. Just a lot of good stuff on the way. I genuinely appreciate all of you. I appreciate everyone who comments all the time and just gives me so much motivation, even on days where I have to take a break because I'm just trying to push out so much, and everyone just tells me that that's okay and that it's okay to take breaks and to not burn myself out. I genuinely appreciate all of you so much. We're trying to make this dream a reality to where I could eventually go full-time at this and just deliver you good content every single day. That's the goal, and I genuinely appreciate all of you so much. So, yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.